In the last lesson in this series, we went over the rhythm parts as played by John Lennon on the original recording of Day Tripper. Now in this lesson, we're going to take a close look at the lead guitar parts played by George Harrison. The song opens with the signature riff played over the E7th chord. So the riff starts with the open E string and then 3rd fret, 4th fret on that E string, on up to fret 2 across the 5th and 4th string, and then the open D, open 4th string. So that first part, then this is followed by fret 2 on the 5th string to fret 4 on the 4th string, then we're back to that fret 2 on the 5th string, open D again, back to fret 2 on the 4th string, and then we're back, we recycle the whole thing from the open E. You may like to pause the video here and practice that from the tab for a bit. Once you've learned to finger the correct sequence of notes, you may find you need to do a bit of work on getting the exact timing. Here I've indicated the timing in two different ways, relative to the beats to the bar and in terms of picking direction, D for down, U for up. The lowercase letters in brackets show where you should move the pick but without hitting the string. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Once you've learned this riff well, you will have no difficulty with the riff that is played over the change to A7th in each verse, which is exactly the same fingering moved across one string. Once you've got those two riffs down, you've got all the lead parts you need for the intro and verses. And in the choruses, George just joined in with the rhythm. So it just remains to cover the lead over the instrumental break, which you may remember is played over a B or B7th chord. If you listen very carefully to the instrumental, you can hear an overdub played, I think, by George, that simply uses all the notes of the E major scale but starts on the note B. So we could play that at fret 2 on the A string here, B, C sharp at fret 4, going up to D sharp fret 1 on the D string, E fret 2, F sharp fret 4, G sharp at fret 1 on the G string, A at fret 2 on the G string, B at fret 4 on the G string, C sharp at fret 2 on the B string, D sharp at fret 4, E at fret 5, and finish on F sharp at fret 2 on the top string. Now the timing for this is that you come in on the second beat of each bar. So you count it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. For me, it's the mark of great musicianship to have played something so simple and yet which is so effective at helping the way that instrumental builds. In the main take, George joins in to play the main riff 3 times. This is the same riff exactly as was played over E7th and A7th earlier, but in order to transpose it up to B7th, we have to change the fingering. There are several ways to do this. This is my preferred option. So that's starting with my little finger, my pinky, at fret 7 on the E string, the note B. Then using my middle 2 fingers, second finger and third finger, on the next string to play 5 and 6. Then my first finger up here on the 4th string on the 4th fret on the D string, up to the 4th fret on the G string, and then back to the pinky at fret 7 on the D string, back to the first finger fret 4 on the D string, and up to the third finger fret 6 on the G string, and then you just repeat first finger D string, fourth finger D string, first finger G string. But it's very possible that George played this from the B note starting here and then slid up from 5 to 6 on the A string, fret 4 on the D string, and then jump back, so that's fret 4 on the G string, but then jumping back to this position with the first finger at fret 2 on the G string, coming down to fret 4 on the D string, and then up to the 2nd fret on the B string. So it little matters which approach you take to playing this riff in B, but my advice is to settle on the way that comes easiest to you and stick with that. After playing 3 times through that B riff, George waits out a couple of beats and then comes in with these 3 licks. 1, 2. So we start with our first finger at fret 5 on the B string and play a very quick slide back to fret 3. And then back down to fret 4 on the G string, back to frets 3 and 5 on the B string, then a bend to make it sound as if played at fret 7. So then we add this note here at fret 5 on the top string, but without taking your finger off this bend. So look carefully. And then you hit that bent note again and release it back to fret 5. Then he jumps up to fret 12 on the B string, hits that twice, up to fret 10 on the top string, back to fret 12 on the B string, then back to fret 10 and 12 on the top string before bending at fret 12 and then returning and then back to fret 10, back to fret 12 on the B string. And then he finishes with a little double stop, or rather a single note plus an open note. It's not strictly speaking a double stop, but it's two notes played at once, two strings played, the G string and the B string played together, with my finger at fret 11 on the G string giving us the F sharp, and that's coupled with the open B. So it's a fragment of the B chord really. So that's just played like that in 4 pairs. Here's the tab for those. Well, I hope you enjoy learning this very cleverly modified blues tune. It still amazes me that even after more than half a century, the Beatles are still frequently underrated in terms of their musicianship and creative flair. I think they were the victims of their own success because, of course, much of the detail of their playing got drowned out by the sound of thousands of screaming teenage girls.